Hello and welcome to the Tommy Sandhu podcast, and this is a King Richard special. King Richard is a brand new film about the story of Richard Williams. He is the father of Venus and Serena Williams, the two tennis players that need no introduction. They dominated the tennis game, won Wimbledon countless times and various other Grand Slams all around the world. But this story focuses on the character of Richard Williams, played by Will Smith in the movie. And it's really about fatherhood, which is why it's quite appropriate that you can hear that in the background. Why it's quite appropriate probably that Logan Sandhu, my son, is here right now. He's got chicken pox. Yes, you know. Okay, well done. He's watching YouTube videos whilst I try and do this podcast. So who knows how this is going to go, because I've never done this before. But I thought, well, I'm talking about fatherhood and the realities of fatherhood and what it's like being a dad like Richard Williams to Serena and Venus, how he went about kind of creating their success. And I've seen the film. Obviously, I saw it a few weeks ago. I saw it before I went to Dubai. But the film is out this weekend with Warner Brothers. So it's out on the 19th of November. And I wouldn't normally do a big special like this on a whole podcast dedicated to a film. But I think it's more than a film, really. I think it's a little slice of motivation that we can all probably take something from. Particularly if you're like me and you've got kids, right? I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to say. I don't pretend to be like the best dad in the world. I don't really know what I'm doing when it comes to fatherhood or even husbandhood, making it up, winging it as we go along. But I know it's something I want to be good at. I think my dad is great. He gets me. He understands me in a way that I think nobody else does. And he's just supported me when I've really needed him the absolute most. So I suppose I want to be a good dad, whatever that involves. But I know that times are changing, and the way I can be a good dad to Logan, who's here, and Milo, who's at school, we've got to pick him up in half an hour, so I'll be quick. But I want to be a good dad to them. And when you watch films like this, King Richard, it makes you instantly think about yourself as a dad, or even as a parent. So if there's any mums watching this, or people that are soon to be mums, I think this is the kind of film that really gets you thinking about what impact you're having in your kid's life. And it makes you think about nature versus nurture. Is a kid always meant to be the way they're going to be, or do you have an impact on that as a parent? It made me think about Asian parents in particular, because as you know, as many of you will know, Asian parents put, some would say pressure, some would say focus, some would say guidance, some would say strict rules on their kids, because they want their kids to do well. We come from an immigrant mentality. We're here to progress. We're here to become better versions of what our ancestors were back in the Pind, or the villages, or the fields, wherever we come from back in the Desh, whatever country that is, Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, wherever. The idea is you come here, you study, you be something, be something. That's what I was always told by my mum. And here's a film about Will Smith's character, Venus and Serena's dad, making them the tennis stars that they are. So this is a slightly different podcast, because I'm going to be playing you little clips from a press conference that we attended online, that I attended online, where we got to put questions to Will Smith and the other cast. There's a brilliant cast who I should mention. There is Saniyya Sidney and Demi Singleton. They're the two actresses that play Venus and Serena. They are great. They really are. Look, if I'm honest, they've got this film absolutely right. They really have. It's emotional. It's inspirational. It will get you thinking. It will get you going. It will get you stirred up. It will get you fired up. It makes you realize that there are so many different layers in life. So many things that your kids are going to go through that are potentially out of your control. And that's strange. It's strange for me as a dad, because I suppose we work hard and all those things that we do as parents because we want to make their life easier. And this film made me think that maybe I shouldn't be making their life easier. Maybe I should just let them be. Let them be whatever. And let them follow their dreams and somehow facilitate that, rather than tell them what I think is best for them. But then, having said that, King Richard's character, Will Smith's character, is a kind of dad that actually, from before the kids were born, while they were in their mum's tummy, he decided they were going to be tennis players. So you tell me, what's that mean? Does that mean it was meant to be? Or was it created by a father's vision? he basically, I think in the film he even says it, he saw somebody making a lot of money in tennis. And he was like, well, why are we trying to make my kids into anything else? He just saw that. He went, I'm going to make my kids tennis stars. Happens to be these girls. And he puts them through all the training. He takes it all on himself. And he makes them into the stars that they are. And, you know, they went on to become the two best known tennis stars on the planet. They changed the whole generation. And this film is massively, massively motivational. And in the clip you're about to hear from the press conference, Will Smith is going to tell us about why this meant so much to him.
You know, it's really, we were talking earlier, and there was an interview that Venus was doing. How old were you in that interview?
Like 13
and 14.
Yeah.
And it's a famous interview where Richard Williams snaps on the reporter and says, you know, now she done said what she done said with a whole lot of confidence, you know. And I saw that, you know, in real time, and the look on Venus's face burned, that image burned in my heart, because that's how I wanted my daughter to look when I showed up. And that interview had really changed my parenting at that time. It was like the look on Venus's face, we just watched it, and it was like she had a lion. And she was so confident and so comfortable that her lion wasn't gonna let anything happen to her, you know? And I fell in love with Richard Williams, you know, that was 20 something years ago.
Wow.
And when the opportunity to be a part of this came up, that was the first thing that I remembered. I knew I wanted to show a father protecting a daughter like that to the world.
I thought that was really cool. I thought that was really cool what he said, because he's basically saying that him as a father, just by being there, he gives his kids confidence. So you hear about his daughter, one of the tennis players, I forget which one it is now, Venus or Serena, who's at the press conference, and in the film, and he's at the press conference, and, you know, just by Richard being there, she kind of has got the ability to step up and say what she's about. Now, you know, you and I know, if you're a parent, you're constantly trying to teach your kids about confidence. And, you know, I'm always saying to Milo, particularly not this one, because he's only little yet, you know, like, walk with your shoulders back, walk with your head up, be proud. You know, sometimes he doesn't, he's all floppy and dainty, and then here you're seeing this film about these kids that have just got this confidence and how it's instilled into them, but not really by doing or saying anything. What Will was really saying just then is that, you know, your dad just being around, just having that relationship, that's amazing, isn't it? Where your dad can be around and you feel 10 feet tall. You feel like, yeah, I can take it on. I'd love to know that I have that, or I can get to that with my kids at some point where, you know, they just know that, you know, dad's in the room, everything's going to be okay. Fact is, dad doesn't know that everything's going to be okay. Dad doesn't have a crystal ball. Dad doesn't know the future. But growing up, I think you always look at your dad or your mum or parents, and you hope when they say, hey, it's, you know, everything's going to be okay, that it is. And my mum said it to me even after I lost my job. She said, don't worry, you'll be okay. I said to her, I said, you don't know that. You can't know that. She said, I do. And I believed her. So you want that. You want that from your parent. And I'd love to hopefully get to that. So this is what I mean about the film being inspirational, about trying to be a better parent. And I suppose I want to touch on these kind of topics throughout the podcast, and as the podcast goes on, to talk to more people about parental advice and approaches and different approaches. You hear about people that go and live with their kids, you know, in the middle of the jungle, or you know, go back to basics and just live on the bare minimum sort of essentials and no technology. Look, he's sitting there on my phone because I just want him to chill out and sit here while he's got chicken pox, and my missus is in the front room doing her work. You know, it's hard. It's a juggle. We're all juggling stuff all the time. I'm even thinking like now, you know, I've got to do their food. I've got to, you know, going to get the older one back from school. He's got to do his homework. Yeah, all these things have to be done. So just because you're Will Smith or you're, anybody else, any other parent or even me, we're still trying to do the basics right, which is to be a good dad and be a good brother or be a good husband or be a good son. And I tell you, this film got me, man. King Richard got me. It's well worth the watch. And one of the other things that he touches upon in the film, in the press conference, I should say, is about how to motivate your kids. Because always I'm trying to get Milo, particularly Milo, because he's now 9, going on 10, to kind of sit down and do his work, But I don't want to tell him to do his work. I want him to kind of just know that the work's got to be done. And if he just gets on and does it and smashes it out and does the best he can then have the time to chill out. But if we argue about it, if we fall out about it, or if I see that he hasn't been bothered to do it properly, or hasn't really tried, or he's tried to rush it, then everything's going to take more time in the end. But then sometimes on the flip of that, I sort of think, man, just let it be. Why am I busting his balls so much? Maybe I need to ease off a little bit. My dad never really gave me that much of a hard time over my work schedule and workload. But in this film, King Richard William, they call him King Richard, they just titled him that, but Richard Williams' character, he takes his kids out in the rain, he's taking his kids out in the cold, early mornings before school, after school, practice, training. To some extent, so that one of the other kind of side stories in the film is that a neighbor complains about him and to the police and says, he's abusing these girls. He's taking advantage of it. He's making them work so hard. It's not fair. It's not right. And I can see that. Sometimes, we put stress on the kids. 11 pluses, tests, exams, school assessments. And I don't know about you, but most of the people I know who are really successful, they came from nothing. And they didn't come from parents that helped them and nurtured them and stood over their shoulder every step of the way. Almost like a lot of people I know who are successful despite everything else in their life. Their parents have, some would argue, are terrible parents or not around for them, haven't supported them whatsoever. They've done it kind of on their own. So I don't know. Look, I'm not here with the answers. Don't expect that from this podcast. Expect just me questioning parenthood, what I'm supposed to do or not supposed to do, how much I'm supposed to push and not supposed to push. And this film definitely talks a lot about that. So you're going to hear him talk about now almost reverse psychology in a way, because it wasn't, in the case of Venus and Serena, their punishment set by the dad wasn't extra cricket training session. I've got cricket on the brain because I've been in Dubai for the T20. Their punishment wasn't extra tennis sessions because they were, misbehaving or not concentrating. Their punishment was taking away the tennis. And weirdly, that worked.
One of the first things that was interesting in our first meeting, we sat down and Venus said, it's almost like they brainwashed us. She was like, because you said our punishment was that we couldn't play tennis, right? Because they never had to push. It was like that there was a Jedi mind trick that it was like, it wasn't the standard thing that you see of a parent pushing and driving a child. There was that, but it was augmenting and throwing fuel on a fire that they had. It was a fire coming from inside of Venus and Serena. And for me as an actor, when I take a role also, I'm taking it to explore something. I'm taking it to learn something. And that was a new parenting idea for me of aligning with your children versus directing your children. And it was a very, very different concept and approach that was magical in the Williams family. That the rules were set, but the rules that were established were divine rules, right? So faith was at the center, And then it was a collective journey we were going on. It wasn't that as a parent, I know and you don't, so you're gonna do what I say because I'm right and you're little, right? And it was a very different approach that was, somewhat eye-opening for me. My father was military, so it was very different. I when I was growing up, the kids you don't get a vote. Right, so you do what's laid out for you, do what's established for you, and then some benefits to that mindset also. But this was a very different thing.
Right, now enough about me questioning my own fatherhood off the back of this film. But films do that to me. I don't know about anybody else. When I watch a film and it's good, I lose myself in it for a few days. And I told myself after watching this film, right, I want to support my kids more. I want to support whatever they're into. And I'm not going to try and make them into anything. Even though this film really is about the success of, a great parent who believes in his kid, who just believes in his kids 100%, and has to make some tough decisions about one child's career over another child's sporting career in the same kind of industry. And there are other kids as well in the story. But what I loved about this film, because I had my own little connection with it, with my sisters in my own way. I've got two older sisters, and what I love about this film is they really get that sisterly connection right. You okay? What's up? What, do you want to say something? No? Where are you going? Going to the toilet? Where are you going? Don't disturb mum. Just wait here. She's on the phone. Come sit here. You can play a game for a bit. Let me just finish off this podcast. Okay? We won't be long. What I love is the fact that that sisterly connection. And obviously, I'm not a girl, so I don't have that sisterly girl-to-girl connection. But you really feel that warmth of siblings, because they're like, you know how like kids, when you're at a certain age, you're kind of nudging each other. These two do it all the time, Marlo and Logan. They kind of nudge it, and he sits on him, and he pushes him, and they come up with silly little songs. And there's a real genuine spark between the two actresses, and you can see them as sisters, and they even make up these kind of silly little songs about booty exploding. And so what is that funny? Booty's exploding, and that's in the film as well. But they've got obviously the Williams family working closely with Will Smith and Jada Pinkett, who are the executive producers of the film as well. And they're talking about how they wanted to bring the story to light, and how they have to make sure that it's a realistic reflection of what went on. Yes, Richard Williams was a tough father, but this isn't about a vilification of him. This isn't about him coming across like some mean, stern father who drove his kids through all these kind of torturous training sessions. This is a film about, I guess, a father's unquestionable love and belief that his girls have the ability to make it. He just knew. And he's slightly crazy. He's eccentric with it. If you know anything about Richard Williams' character in real life, he's a bit bonkers. Like he was holding up signs at Wimbledon and holding up signs, I think at one of the tennis tournaments, saying, "I told you so. I told you they'd make it," kind of telling the media. And he was known for doing some pretty outrageous interviews with the press after a match and things like that as well. And the way in which he gets Venus and Serena, their main coach that actually really takes their career on in the film, is nothing short of just straight up ballsy. And if anybody out there like me who thinks about, they want to make it in a certain field, and I remember hearing when I wanted to be a presenter, like, what you've got to do is you just got to turn up at MTV. This is when I was 21. Not that MTV would look at me now, but when you're 21 years old, just got to turn up at MTV with a show reel and tell them like, yeah, I want to be on the next MTV show, and that's the way to do it. But I didn't do that. I was kind of too beastie to do that. I was too embarrassed. I was like, why would I just rock up somewhere where they don't know me and get the door slammed in my face? No, there's got to be a proper way in. So I took the kind of slightly more formal route, but maybe the answer, if you really want something, is to just rock up, which is what they kind of do in this in the film as well. They rock up at a training training center where a certain coach is playing, and he's training a certain two very famous people. I'll let you see that in the film when you watch it. And he gets his girls a shot, and that's a real pivotal point in the film and to their careers. But my point is about that connection between the sisters. The point is about them two. They really have got that right in the film, And if you are, particularly if you've got daughters in their teens, this is a film for them. If you've got sisters yourself and you're a girl, then I'm sure you'll find a little connection because here's a little bit where they're talking about how some of the Williams family had to put their foot down to Will Smith and the rest of the production team because it was important that they get one of the songs that the girls sing as kids absolutely word for word correct.
Well,
there was only one day on set where Isha just had to put her foot down. You remember?
oh my God.
What happened?
So you remember the day
were-
where you guys were coming out and it was the your motive.
Oh, yes.
Oh
So
my
there was
God.
a thing. There was,
She was like, you're still doing it wrong.
it's like your motive, you corroded, your booty got exploded. You know,
Oh,
That's what we
no,
kept
no, no. That's,
And she came up, she was like, all right, hold up.
because she
And
had
she
to
was
tell
like,
me.
your booty can't got exploded.
Right. And we were like,
got
all right.
exploded. Your motive corroded. Your booty exploded. It just exploded. Your booty can't got exploded. Please, come on.
Details.
The
Details. That is
detail
what
really
wins Oscars. So I appreciate you, sis, when we take home all these
I was like,
trophies.
hey,
Yeah.
y'all.
Yeah.
Look,
No.
Miss Isha's very serious about her booties get exploded. I think y'all should just take the got out.
Well, I appreciate that.
Okay, then. So, just to wrap this up, King William is out on the 19th of November, and I got one more clip to play you from Will Smith, because look, this is going to win awards. I just know it is. This is going to clean up because it's such a relevant story, and I tell you why I connected with it. Okay, I'm not, in case you hadn't realised, a black woman from America trying to get into sport, or I'm not two black young women in America trying to get into sport. But I'm a brown man with Indian Punjabi roots, living in the UK, trying to make my way through media and mainstream media here. So it's maybe I'm just relating it, like, you know, like when you read horoscopes and you can just relate it to yourself because you are looking to relate it to yourself. Maybe I'm doing that. I don't know. But I've recently, in the last few years, really felt that there's barriers above me. And I didn't feel that when I was young and getting into television and radio. And I did all right. I got mainstream gigs on like ITV and Sky and Living and some good channels. And I did obviously the breakfast show at the BBC and then the One Show and the travel show and Sunday Morning Live. So I've done my mainstream telly and it was all going so well. But then I got hit with something. And you know, you can feel those levels above you and you go, oh, okay. I got like a little slapback. I got a little slapback because people don't really understand me or didn't want to understand me. And I'm now refinding my way and it's hard. It was hard. What's that? I love you too. Bang on cue. I didn't plan that. Thank you, buddy. I needed that. And where was I? You threw me off what I was saying now, monkey. Are you okay? You get the slap back. There you go. But then you realise what's important, you know. And if anything, I feel the reason why I started this podcast is because I feel freer than ever. I feel stronger than ever. So look, this film, look, you can tell this is all from a film. You know, tell me you've done all this. You can check it. Honestly, it's a good film. It's well made. It's a great story. You see the drama. You see what they went through. You see the barriers. That's what I was getting to. The barriers above them, the kind of the layers, I suppose, to any industry, whatever it is. I'm sure if you're trying to just break into the restaurant business or another business, then, you know, there are people that are doing it ahead of you. There are people that maybe want to keep you out of it. Or just that people aren't really helping you into it and you've got to just do it yourself, right? Nothing, no one against you. You just got to go cut your own path. And here, Will Smith talks about the pushing the boundaries, not only for him as an actor, but how he wanted to show and reflect this family, this Williams family, this incredible family to the world, because he knows it will motivate people. He knows it's gonna change people's lives, and I think you'll all take a little something away from it. But yeah, check this last little clip out, and I've got a few little things to say after it. But other than that, check this last little clip out because you'll see really what he's trying to capture and about taking things up to the next level.
I just want to say one for Saniyya and Demi had to learn how to play tennis like two of the greatest tennis players of all time. So when I had to try to learn how to play Muhammad Ali, I know how daunting that was. There are professional fighters who can't move and play like Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
There are professional tennis players that can't, play like Venus and Serena. And, I was watching Saniyya, and I just want the world to know, not only did Saniyya learn how to play like Venus, Saniyya is left-handed. She learned how to play with her off hand.
Wow.
She learned how to play like one of the greatest tennis players of all time with her off hand. I was like,
Incredible.
I was like,
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
and just when I step on a set like that, I take it as it's my responsibility. It's my family. It's my crew. It's my people. It's my it's my place. And it was just such a beautiful thing to watch. With Ingenue, the scene in the kitchen, we didn't really even find that till it was like the day before when we were starting to get that, and Ingenue was so confident, and it was I'm sorry, a little more, not quite, a little more, just a little more, and it was really like day of when she was like, that's it, that's it, and I just loved that push. I loved being able to serve that. I love being able to be a part of creating in that way, and that push and that tenacity, and for the authenticity, and everybody in this group, and to say to the three of you, everybody in this group is amazed and in awe of your family, and it was a beautiful honor and an absolute pleasure to bring this depiction to the world. So thank you for your suffering, and thank you for your hard work, and thank you for your inspiration to the world. We appreciate you.
Okay, it's good. It's a good film. I'm telling you, if you're not doing anything this weekend, it's been a long time since a lot of us have been in the cinema, and I do think you should watch this before everybody else starts going on about how brilliant it is and how you need to watch it. And I will strongly urge my nieces, particularly as women, young women, to watch this film, because I just think it's easily more relatable if you're a teenage girl. And if you're looking for, just, I suppose, a little bit of hope and inspiration as to how you can do your thing. Look, I don't want to sound all cheesy. That's not me. You know me. But if you want to, if you're just trying to chase it and it's just not happening, then here's a dad who believes in his daughters so much that he has dedicated his whole life. He has dedicated his whole life to their improvement, their achievement, and their furtherment, if that is a word, in the tennis game. It's called King William. It stars Will Smith, as well as the brilliant Saniyya Sidney and Demi Singleton playing Venus and Serena Williams. It's a good film. Go check it out. Thanks for listening to the Tommy Sandhu podcast. I'll catch you next time.